Hello, everyone, and welcome to Through the Covers. I'm Fred, and I'm really excited to finally get this podcast started. If you're someone who loves cricket conversations beyond just match highlights, then this podcast is for you. Through the Covers is where we dive deeper into the game, the latest cricketing news, player statistics, match analysis, team strategies, and of course some predictions about where the game might be heading. Cricket today is evolving faster than ever. Teams are experimenting with new approaches, players are redefining roles, and data-driven decisions are becoming more important with every tournament. Through this podcast, the goal is to understand the game from that perspective, not just what happens on the field, but why it happens. All right, welcome back to Through the Covers. If you've been here from episode 3, you can probably feel where we are right now. We've gone through 6 teams already. Lucknow Super Giants, Rajasthan Royals, Gujarat Titans, then Sunrisers Hyderabad, Punjab Kings, Delhi Capitals. And with each episode, one thing kept becoming clearer. This league is no longer about who looks strong on paper. It's about who understands moments, who adapts quicker, who holds their nerve when the game starts slipping. And today, we complete that picture. The final 4 teams: Kolkata Knight Riders, Royal Challengers Bengaluru, Chennai Super Kings, and Mumbai Indians. 4 teams with history, expectations, and very different ways of approaching pressure. And interestingly, all 4 feel strong this year, but in completely different ways. Let's start with Kolkata Knight Riders, because this team has undergone one of the most subtle but important transformations. Ajinkya Rahane leading this side already tells you what direction they've chosen. This is not the old KKR built purely on explosive match winners. This is a more measured, layered team. You look at the batting, Rahane at the top, Ankrish Raghuvanshi bringing youth, Cameron Green adding that all-round dimension, Rinku Singh continuing to be the most reliable presence in pressure situations, and even someone like Finn Allen, who can completely change the tempo early. What stands out here is not just talent, it's distribution of responsibility. Earlier, KKR depended on moments. Now they're trying to build phases. Even someone like Sunil Narine is no longer the sole centerpiece. He's part of a larger system that includes Varun Chakravarthi controlling the middle and pace options like Vaibhav Arora or Patharana stepping in. But there is still a slight uncertainty. Because when you move from having match winners to having balance, you sometimes lose that one player who just takes the game away instantly. Eden Garden still gives them an edge. It rewards variation, rewards smart bowling. But this KKR side will depend heavily on collective execution. On a good day, they look complete. On a slightly off day, they might lack that final punch. Now, Royal Challengers Bengaluru. This is a team that feels very different in 2026. Not emotionally, structurally. Because for once, RCB actually looks like a well-balanced side. You've got Virat Kohli at the top, but now alongside players like Phil Salt and Venkatesh Iyer, which changes the tempo completely. Rajat Patidar leading gives them a different kind of calm, not overly emotional, more process-driven. And then the middle order: Jitesh Sharma, Tim David, Romario Shepherd. This is not just power, it's situational hitting. The biggest shift, though, is the all-round balance. Krunal Pandya adds control, Shepherd adds flexibility, and suddenly RCB doesn't feel dependent on 1 or 2 players. The bowling, too, looks far more settled than previous seasons. Bhuvneshwar Kumar brings experience, Josh Hazelwood gives you discipline, And Suyash Sharma adds spin control. Now layer this on top of Chinnaswamy Stadium, a ground that punishes bad bowling but rewards clarity. And that's where this RCB team feels different. They're not just trying to outscore teams anymore, they're trying to understand how to win at their own ground. And that's new. Because for years, RCB's problem was never skill, it was composure. And this version feels closer to solving that than any before. Now, Chennai Super Kings. This is where things become very clear. Because CSK doesn't rebuild like other teams, it reloads within a system. Ruturaj Gaikwad continues to lead, and around him this squad has quietly evolved. You've got Sanju Samson now in this setup, which is a massive shift in their batting structure. Dewald Brevis adds explosiveness, Shivam Dube continues to dominate the middle overs, and MS Dhoni, even at this stage, remains a presence that shapes decision-making. But what stands out even more is how much depth they've added. Jamie Overton, Akil Hossain, Noor Ahmad. This is not just a spin-heavy side anymore. This is a flexible bowling unit that can adapt to different conditions. Chepauk still remains their biggest advantage. It slows down, it rewards control, and CSK understands that better than anyone. But what's interesting this year is that they're not just dependent on conditions anymore. They've built a squad that can play outside Chepauk as well, and that makes them even more dangerous. Because CSK has always been about clarity. Every player knows their role. Every phase is understood. And when you combine that clarity with added flexibility, you get a team that doesn't just compete, it controls games. And finally, Mumbai Indians. This is a team that you never judge too early, because Mumbai doesn't always start strong, but it almost always finishes strong. You look at the core: Rohit Sharma, Suryakumar Yadav, Tilak Varma, Hardik Pandya leading, and then someone like Quinton de Kock coming back into the setup. This is a batting lineup that can adapt to any situation. There's aggression, but there's also control. And that balance is important. Because Mumbai doesn't just chase games, it builds them. The bowling is where they become really dangerous. Jasprit Bumrah gives you control that very few teams have. Trent Bolt adds that new ball threat. And then you've got support options like Santner or Shardul who can adjust based on conditions. Wankhede Stadium suits them perfectly. High scoring, high pressure, but Mumbai knows how to operate there. Because they've done it before, again and again. And that experience is their biggest edge. They don't panic, they don't rush, they wait, and then they peak at the right time. So when you step back and look at these four teams together, the contrast is very clear. KKR is balance, still finding certainty. RCB is evolution, moving towards composure. CSK is system, now with added flexibility. Mumbai Indians is experience, built on timing and understanding pressure. And in many ways, these four teams define the league. Because they don't just react to games, they shape them. And now, we've reached the point where everything connects. We've talked about all 10 teams, every structure, every strength, every weakness, and naturally, the next step is obvious. The season begins, and in the next episode, we move one step closer to the first game of IPL 2026. We break down the season opener, Royal Challengers Bengaluru versus Sunrisers Hyderabad. We get into matchups, conditions, previous encounters, and what this game really means. Because opening games are never just games. They set the tone for everything that follows. This is Through the Covers. And every alternate day, a new episode drops. And now that we've understood every team, every balance, every strategy, the next episode takes us right to the edge of the action. I'll see you there.